Hello everybody, and this is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you to all the new subscribers that have joined this beautiful tribe of healing people, those that are in recovery, those that are trying to figure out how to get out of their situation, and those of you that have experienced narcissist abuse. Thank you so much for being here and trusting what I have to say and the information that I provide to you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Sunday. For those of you that are new to the channel, I do come on live on Sundays between 8 and 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But every now and then when I'm able to get back early, I try to come on as early as I can because I know that everybody is in different time zones. So sometimes me coming on late makes it inconvenience for some people. So thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to talk about parental alienation. Someone asked me to talk about parental alienation. What does that mean? Parental alienation. What does that mean? So I went and I was studying a couple of sites and trying to find out whether or not this is recognized within the legal system, because some of you know, and I've been reading a lot of the messages that you guys send in reference to, court situations. Some of you are fighting in court, having to prove yourself, knowing doggone well that you are not the narcissist, and having to fight these individuals in a court system, that is just learning about this type of behavior. And so I went to a couple of sites, and one just happens to be published by the law offices of Michael F. Rowe, and he is an Illinois family lawyer. So those of you that he has a blog, those of you in the Illinois area, Illinois area, he published this in February, and let's see, one is written by Michael Rowe, and another article that's on the page is written by Dr. Sherry Steins. She's a PsyD, so it's a doctor of psychology. Let's roll down a little bit. He is located in, he's two offices. One is St. Charles, Illinois, and the other one is Naperville, Illinois. So those of you guys go look on his site, and his Illinois Divorce Law blog, Michael F. Rowe. And they do free consultations as well. So if you're in the Illinois area, I have another one I'm going to go to from the Virginia area as well. But you guys can go look up parental alienation laws, or lawyers that understand high conflict divorces, domestic violent divorces, children, high conflict, those are the terms that you look up when you're looking up in Google search or online. Okay, so this one in particular, let's see. I'm going to scroll down to where, Dr. Steins was talking. And so it says, what causes attachment-based parental alienation in narcissistic relationship? What exactly is parental alienation in context of a narcissistic relationship? So it is a dynamic that occurs when a child is manipulated by the narcissistic parent to reject the other healthy, empathetic parent. So some of you guys are not the narcissist, and some of you guys are. But some of you guys are not the narcissist. And so this is when the narcissistic parent pits the child against the non-narcissistic parent. It happens when the narcissistic parent uses a type of invisible coercion to convince the child that the other parent is no good. In essence, the narcissistic parent teaches his or her child to hate his or her other parent and uses the child as a weapon to hurt the other non-narcissistic parent. So basically, they're triangulating. That is what they're doing. They're triangulating. And by triangulating, they also love bomb the child. So those of you that have been in narcissistic relationships, and you understand that love bombing cycle, think about it. Some of you guys talk about how good the love bombing was, and many of you guys are looking for the narcissist. I wish that he or she would go back to the way that they were, and they weren't like that. So if they love bombed you so good, they got you addicted to them, imagine what they're doing to their children. They love bomb the children as well. Now, in court custody hearings and in situations in which you may have 50-50 custody, or if the custodial parent may be the non-narcissistic parent, the narcissistic parent will then manipulate, love bomb, and use the child to, sorry, the phone is ringing, you guys, but will use the child as a weapon against that non-narcissistic parent. So often this is done by implication and nonverbal communication, such as when a child returns home from being with the targeted parent and the narcissist acts overly concerned or alarmed by anything that may have gone on at the targeted parent's house. by acting as if there is a cause for distress and that the child is very fortunate to be away from the unhealthy environment, and you're actually the healthy environment. So what they do is they put on this big show, like, you know, oh my gosh, are you okay? Looks like you're not eating. You know, they may do things like you know, if it's the narcissist turn for visitation, they may send a message to the non-narcissistic parent and say, hey, when you send the child, you know, just send the child with an empty suitcase and I'll buy the clothes. Then when the child shows up with no clothes, then that narcissistic parent is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that your mom or dad wouldn't pack you any clothes, and who does that? But they'll make sure that other people are also in their earshot. You know, their friends, flying monkeys, even their new sources of supply. I can't believe that they would send them, you know, they didn't send clothes, and how can you do my child like that? But the child is listening to this. So, you know, when you have a vulnerable child or a child that is usually naive, children are naive. And so, you know, so they're trusting the parent. They trust the parent. So, oh my gosh, I can't believe your mother or father would do that, you know, and, how could they do her or him like that? And oh my gosh, I have to buy clothes. Are you okay? Are you eating over there? You know, what are you eating? Does your mom or dad cook? You know, what kind of food do you eat? So then they'll use that against you. You know, oh my gosh, you know, that he or she is a vegan, and so my child is forced into veganhood, and they're not allowed to eat a carnivore. They're not carnivores like we are, you know, whatever. So you see, they'll take whatever they can and play on it, or they'll send, like, the child comes back to the narcissistic parent, and all of a sudden they're receiving texts from the narcissistic parents like, are you okay? I haven't heard from you. You know, you haven't been texting me like you used to. You know, oh my gosh, are you okay? But they're causing an alarm in this child. So the child is like alarmed too, like, you know, something's not going on, all to manipulate this child into thinking that something is wrong with this parent. And as much as that narcissistic parent is talking and talking and talking and talking, you know, they're going to belittle you. They're going to degrade you. You know that he or she is nasty, keep a nasty home, you know, have a lot of pets, and you have like one roach. Okay, you got a roachy nasty, but you may have like a bird, or you may have like, you know, something small, little hamster or whatever, but all of a sudden you done became the cat, dog, woman, man, you know, and you have all these feral animals, and you are a hoarder now. So you can have a shoe outside because the shoes were muddy, and now by the time the narcissist tells the story, you are on the A&E, is A&E on television. You are one of the people on Hoarders. You are one of the person that's on Hoarder. They spotlighted your house at Hoarder, and you have one shoe, two shoes outside because they were muddy. That's how dramatic these narcissists are. So it says here, why would a child be so willing to reject his or her good parent in exchange for the emotionally dysfunctional personality disorder parent? The same way that you were manipulated and love bombed into this dysfunctional relationship with the narcissist. And usually the child, you know, the child will crave the absent parent, because they're around you all the time. My mentor said the same thing. You're around the parent, you know, that one parent all the time. What are you missing from that parent? You are missing the other parent. You feel abandoned. You feel rejected. You know, the child feel rejected. They may have started another family. And so what they'll do is they'll make sure to send pictures or talk about all the things they do with these new children or the new supplies children. They'll show them, you know, they're going to these events, they're going to the water slides, they're going to restaurants, and all the things you could be doing that the other parent, the good parent or the non-narcissistic parent is not doing with you. And they'll even make comments, you know, they have no boundaries. And so they'll make comments like, well, I send your mother or father child support, and they can afford to do this with you, but they refuse to buy you clothes and food, and they won't even do this. And look what's happening here. You could be enjoying this life. That's the underlining meaning. They may not say it verbally, but that is the point that they're trying to make. Look at all the things I'm doing for this new child in my life, what you could be doing. So what does it make the child do? It makes the child grieve and want to be, you know, with this picture perfect parent, this portrayal. It's called love bombing. That's the same thing they did to you when they got in a relationship with you, but they're doing to an innocent child. So let's see. So this occurs when the child sees and feels the rejection and discard of the targeted parent by the abusive parent, and internalize a deep and powerful fear that if he or she does not identify with the favored parent, then he or she too will be rejected by the narcissist. So they're feared because they're watching this narcissist reject the parent that they're with. And so, of course, a child fears being rejected. So what does a child do? They'll do anything to appease the narcissistic parent. They'll do anything to make that narcissistic parent happy because they're afraid I'm going to leave you too. But that narcissistic parent will make sure they do it. They give them a silent treatment too. So they may talk to them. They may send them text messages and tell the little girls how beautiful you are. You're daddy's little girl. And I'm so proud to be your father. Or mothers sending their sons, or even vice versa. You know, fathers sending to their sons, or mothers sending to their daughters, or vice versa. You know, that you are the apple of my eye. But that's that love bombing. They pump them up, and you're everything that I've ever wanted, and I miss you so much, and I'm so sad that we're not together. And so they give them a silent treatment. And so what does the child do? They're desperate. They want the parent to respond or say something to them, and then all of a sudden they pop back up and they say something else. And so they're in fear that because that narcissistic parent may reject the parent that the child is with, they're afraid now that they're going to be rejected too. And by those silent treatment, that's that dysfunctional cycle of like addiction that these children have fallen into. These innocent kids that don't know any better, and don't know that they are a pawn in this vicious game that the narcissist is playing with them. So the child has unconsciously experienced a type of trauma bonding, Stockholm syndrome phenomenon with the parental relationship. That's that trauma bonding. They're trauma bonding the kids. And they're using the non-narcissistic parent in the midst of the triangulation. They're triangulating. So it's like being in a cult. In a cult, members learn to be loyal to the charismatic leader at the expense of friends, family, and society. It really is astonishing how it happens. And so that narcissist becomes the cult leader. And they manipulate the children to be a part of the cult. And if they don't comply, or if they don't, if they're resistant, they'll be punished. They'll be punished by silent treatment. They'll be punished by, remember the flying into rage. They'll fly into rage with the kids. Everything that they did with you, they'll do with the children. And to scare them into submission. And a child is easier scared into submission than an adult is. See, an adult will fight back. A child won't. Well, to an extent, a child won't, because that's their parent. So the narcissist, like a charismatic cult leader, convinces his or her child that he or she is special and favored by aligning him with him or her, the narcissist. Reality gets flipped on his head, and the other parent is considered to be the dangerous one, while the narcissist becomes a hero of all sorts. I just said that, right? Typically, a narcissistic family, we talked about the golden child. We'll talk about that a little later. Golden child and the scapegoat. So let's see. Let's see. So, when they give the child like the silent treatment, or they're focusing on maybe like the new supplies kids, and they're sending pictures to show they're not responding. So the child is asking questions, and that narcissistic parent is not responding to the question. They're sending them pictures of what they're doing with this new child, and they're doing with this new family. And so what happens? The child is starving for attention from the narcissistic parent, right? But then the hurtful part is that, but you're my mother, you're my father, and you're doing all this with this child. I don't even know this kid, and you're giving them all my affection and my love that I so desire from you, and you're not here. And so all of a sudden he or she, and then all of a sudden they'll start receiving the deeply coveted attention. Any sense of analysis or logic is suspended. It's like a person dying of thirst, receiving that long overdue glass of ice sparkling water. Even if the narcissist has been abusive, hurtful, and neglectful of the child in the past, because of the abuse amnesia, it doesn't matter. The child needs become satisfied in an instant, and all is forgiven and forgotten. That's why kids are so resilient and so forgiving. They just want the attention of the parent. That's why a lot of children that are abused still want to be with the abusive parent. And this is physical and sexual abuse. If the child feels secure with the parent who has always been there emotionally for the child, he or she will find it easy to be manipulated by the narcissistic parent, because intrinsically, he or she knows that his bond is safe with the empathic parent. Their bonds are safe with you. And so they feel safe with you. The bond is safe, but they desperately want the attention of the other parent. So it's easier, much easier. It is much easier to reject someone will never leave than it is to reject someone who you can barely hold on to. So the child is trying to hold on to this narcissistic parent, but they're not concerned with the empathetic parent that's at home taking care of them, because they know you're not going to leave them. They feel confident. But that narcissistic parent, just like when you guys were in that narcissistic relationship, you're always in fear that they're going to leave. So you're always trying to do better or be gooder. You're always trying to be better. You're trying to do better. You're trying to look better. You know, maybe if I would have done this. So imagine that level of stress on a child. Let's see. For a child, the unconscious choice is an emotional survival strategy. One of the problems with abusive relationship is that they create unmet needs in those involved with the abusive person. When the narcissist starts wooing the child or love bombing the child, it requires very little to win him and her over. A child is very easy to manipulate. Once this happens, then the alienation of the targeted parent begins. Then they begin to work on separating the child from the empathetic parent. And so think about it, you know, just like they got you and they try to isolate you from society, friends, and family, is the same thing they're doing with the child. They're isolating them or pulling them away from the safe parent that's going to safeguard them. And a lot of times they're doing it because they hate you, and it looked like you won and got over, so they got to triangulate to try to hurt you. They use those things and children that which you feel deeply about and that you care about. Let's see. So in addition, remember that, let's not forget that people with narcissism suffer from delusional thinking. On some warped level, the narcissist actually believes his or her own lies. If he or she destroys a relationship with the targeted parent in the first place, creating a drama in his or her mind that made the good parent the villain, while the narcissist believes erroneously that he or she is truly the injured party. Remember, always the victim. To add more power to the dynamic, because a narcissist believes his or her own lies, he or she is very convincing to everyone, particularly his or her vulnerable children. He or she propagandizes his delusional narrative. The other empathetic parent does not see it coming and cannot compete with the lunacy of it all. Since the empathetic parent is most likely conscientious and plays fair, he or she is not equipped to even enter the battlefield with the narcissist's weaponry: seduction, manipulation, smear campaigns, delusional complexes, believed confabulation, reality twisting, utter insanity. The targeted parent is completely outwitted. Also, if you go to, let's find this one, give you another one to go to. If you go to, the site is called Keithley Law, PLLC, so www.KEITHLEY, Keithley Law, KeithleyLaw.com. So it's Keithley, KEITHLEY, law, LAW.com. And it's a blog. And on here, this was written in 2018, Child Custody and Parental Alienation Syndrome when Divorcing a Narcissist. Here, I just wanted to point out a historical overview of parental alienation syndrome and child custody battles. And so almost 35 years ago, as of March 15, 2018, a psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Richard Gardner develop a theory as to how a child, typically in the context of a high conflict divorce and child custody, would suddenly begin rejecting a once loving parent. As founding fathers of the parental alienation syndrome or parental alienation syndrome, Dr. Gardner is a very controversial figure in what many psychologists, custody evaluators, attorneys, and judges are starting to realize as a real occurrence, especially in psychopathologically abusive relationship where a narcissistically disordered parent engages in extreme vindictive and enmeshing behaviors with an unsuspecting and innocent child designed to eliminate the target or the non-alienating parent from the child's life. So the goal is to get you out of their life because this is their source of supply, and they're trying to get them to be their loyalties to them and not you, because you're the one that's able to see between the lines, or you're able to, you know, help cover the child or to fight back. But, you know, it is to hurt you, to alienate you from that child. even though, okay, so until it's recognized as a recognized disorder by the American Psychiatric Association, APA, and included as a distinct and separate trauma-related disorder in DSM, he said that he believed that it will remain highly controversial and is subject to major criticism by many legal professionals and judges, and they're the ones that typically make child custody decisions when your disordered spouse cannot do what is best for the children. And so, let's see here. I wanted to get to one of these to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. Let's see. So here it says, parental alienation syndrome hurts both the child and the alienated parent. And parental alienation is a form of emotional abuse, as well as emotional abuse to the alienated parent by the alienating parent. So it's just another form of domestic violence, and that's another way they fight you back in the courtroom and through your kids, by triangulating with your kids. Programming campaigns of parental alienation can include threats of calling the police when the rejected parent wants to contact or simply wants to exercise visitation rights, or pretending to be scared for his or her safety. So all of a sudden, I'm afraid because she's crazy or he's crazy. As one of the viewers mentioned, he's a big guy, and the ex-wife is afraid, and oh my gosh, he's crazy, he's a veteran, and oh my gosh, he's got PTSD. PTSD doesn't mean that you'll hurt your kids. PTSD means that you got some trauma. That doesn't mean that you're going to kill your kids, you know. But also, so all of a sudden they're afraid for their lives. You know, he's crazy. They'll take a military thing and blow it all out of proportion. They'll make it seem like you were Rambo, and all you were was office personnel, and you experienced some military sexual trauma. But by the time they get through telling your story, you are Rambo, and you're special forces, and you fought with the CIA and with the SEAL Team 6, and you're looking at them like, I was administrative assistant, I just happened to see some stuff, or it may have been military sexual trauma. But by the time they take a military story, civilians have a tendency sometimes to blow things out of proportion and make you sound like you were a trained murderer killer, and it's not even like that. So they'll do things like call the police, get protection orders, and it's just building up a case against you. They'll demean the alienated parent in front of the child with insults and character assassination. So you don't know what goes on during the visitation. The child goes over to the narcissistic parent's house, and they are just humiliating you. They're dogging you out. They're assassinating your character. You're a horrible parent. You're nasty. You won't feed them. You know, you won't clothe them. All that in front of the new supplies, in front of the flying monkeys, in front of professionals, anyone they can get around to assassinate your character. They withhold your child from you or deny your legal visitation rights in your custody battle without just cause, as an insidious form of emotional abuse to you and the child. Label visitation obstruction. This is called, it was labeled visitation obstructionism by Dr. Ribicki. The programming parent is the target of overt or covert hostility and a barrage of angry insults. This is what the narcissist is doing to you. So let's see. Now this here, Keithley Law, PLLC, for those of you, this is a Virginia lawyer. Let's see where the address is. So this is in Fairfax, Virginia. For those of you in the Fairfax areas, Keithley Law. Keithley Law. This is a law firm that understands parental alienation. Let's see. So what he was saying was that he has seen instances of parental alienation syndrome in his Virginia divorce proceedings, where the narcissist parent makes overt or sarcastic remarks as to a parent's inability to care for the child during instances of minor everyday illnesses like colds, or to blame him for cavities or her for cavities. So they have cavities because they eat sweets. Then all of a sudden you're a horrible parent and you neglect the child's dental care. You know, they have a cold, and because of you, they have the plague, and it's your fault because you've exposed them to an environment that is hostile, and you put them on the battlefield, whatever they're going to say. So let's see. So in his experience, psychopathology, goes hand in hand with parental alienation syndrome, and those with high degrees of narcissism or full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, or psychopathy are naturally inclined to pit children against the other parent. So the recommendation was to find professionals that are trained in high conflict divorces when divorcing a narcissist. Find those that understand parental alienation syndrome. Interview your lawyers. Look for lawyers. Go online. There's a plethora of information on there to find lawyers that understand parental alienation, narcissism, or cluster B personality disorder. I found one in Washington. Well, not Washington. Where is this? There's a site that you guys can go to. It wasn't Washington, but it was in general. It's called Expert Pages, the leading online directory of expert witnesses. And you put in there, you search keywords for parental alienation syndrome experts. And then it'll show like finding a parental alienation syndrome expert. And then you can look for lawyers in your area. There's there's one who's a PhD, the Center for Human Potential of America. He is a lawyer and a PhD. I don't know, well, JD is a doctorate in law, but a PhD, a doctor in philosophy. His name is Robert A. Evans. There's another lady by the name of Jane K. McNaught, PhD, LP. And she is in Minnesota. He's in Florida. And she's a clinical and forensic psychologist, expert in forensic psychology. And she understands, she does a lot of, she works nationwide and with the military for cases of abuse. He is trained in family divorce mediator, parenting coordination, guardian ad litem, collaborative law practice, child custody evaluator. So just go on the site, is Expert Pages, and look and put in the search phrase, the search keywords, parental alienation syndrome experts. So, or find a parental alienation syndrome expert. And those are some of that area. So let's see if I missed out on anything here. I think I've said most of what I wanted to say. A sign that you're dealing with, that you have the narcissistic parents who's trying to alienate you from your child. You'll notice things like you may have, let me see where it is here. Let me look, it says it in here. Let me find it for you, because I was reading over it. Where is it at? Let me find it. Okay. So here, if you go to Site Central, this is Dr. Sherry Steins, the one I said before. She's a PsyD, a doctor of psychology. And this was children with attachment-based narcissistic parental alienation syndrome. And so I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, and it says here, the symptoms of PAS. The children sit in judgment of the targeted parent's adequacy and competency as a parent. So the narcissist parents has already pitted this child against you. And so now they're even questioning your ability to parent them. You know, depending on the age range that they are, they'll start attacking your ability to parent them. The narcissistic parent covertly encourages, empowers, and rewards the children for this negative behavior against you. The narcissist parent, the narcissist parent feigns innocence in this process. The children believe they are acting independently. That is, they believe they are not being influenced by the alienating parent, the narcissistic parent. So for instance, suppose the targeted parent, which could be you, not the narcissist parent, the targeted parent tells the child to do a chore, and the child resists, as if so. Often the case is with children being told to do something that they don't want to do. Now, suppose the child goes to the narcissist and complains about how mean the other parent is. And most kids pit, one parent against the other. That's just something that kids do. Mom said no, so go ask dad, or dad said no, go ask mom. This is very innocent, right? But for a child to have a narcissistic parent, is never innocent, is used as a weapon against you. And so what they'll do is, well, mom is making me wash the dishes, so they'll go to dad, or they'll tell dad, well, dad is making me wash dishes, and then the other parent The narcissistic parent is like, I can't believe that's too much for your age, and you don't have to do that, and that is inappropriate. So they'll use all these words that's inappropriate. I can't believe that they will make you do that, and how did they have you like you're a maid, and you're doing this, and you're washing the clothes for the entire family that's not even yours, and you're being treated like a common house slave. But do you see how all those words, remember I said before, every word that they speak is targeted and is specific. They know exactly what they're saying to manipulate people and children. And so they'll use key words. You know, I can't believe, how could they do something like that? I'm so hurt. I can't believe that they would mistreat you like that and treat you like a slave. And oh my God, I can't. But you see how dramatic male and females can be? The narcissist will then sympathize with the child, encouraging him or her to feel victimized by this outrageous expectation of the targeted parent, and will excuse the child from having to do the chore. You shouldn't have to clean the tub. I don't care if you're 15 or 30. That's your mom or dad's house, and you shouldn't have to clean the tub. You're in my house, you clean the tub, because you take a bath in it too. So let's see. Thus, the child is getting sucked into the web of PAS. The targeted parent is outraged, bewildered, and hurt and betrayed. So the other parent doesn't know what's going on. Why are you acting this way? The child has been covertly empowered to disrespect the one parent who is actually trying to develop a decent human being. The narcissist sits back effortlessly, creating the destructive coalition with his or her child. So what they're doing is they are encouraging and empowering the child to disobey, disrespect, and disregard the non-narcissistic parent. So they're teaching them these bad habits because the attack is on you. And remember, they're triangulating. Same thing they do with when they have other sources of supply. They triangulate. Same thing they're doing. So on the surface, the child feels and believes that they're benefiting and winning, but in reality, they're playing a short game in the narcissist's perverse mind games. There are some detrimental effects to the children because of this. Children's sense of value is diminished because they believe the targeted parent is unworthy of being identified with. So they can't even identify with you anymore. If the children have interests or traits similar to the rejected parent, then the child will be forced to reject those aspects of themselves as well. Let's say you have a child that looks exactly like the father, or say you have a child that looks exactly like the mother, who's the non-narcissist. Well, guess what? The narcissist will then target that child, and everything about the child, you might be fluffy, you might be skinny, you might have an afro, just like the child. You know, your facial expressions may be the same, your demeanor, hand gestures may be the same. And so that narcissist is looking at that child as being you. And so guess who's getting targeted? The child is being targeted, and everything that reminds them of you, they're targeting in that child. And so all of a sudden, it's almost like the child is just unworthy to be themselves because they look or act or sound like you. The child's character is damaged as he or she is covertly rewarded to be disrespectful, entitled, rude, judgmental, condescending, ungrateful, parentified, and hateful. This is not acceptable to the narcissist, but it's okay to do it to the other parent. The child develops a toxic bond to the alienating parent, to the narcissist, as he or she manipulates them into fearing a lack of acceptance from him or her. So the child accepts that narcissistic parent because they're in fear of being what? Ghost, silent treatment, rejected, abandoned, made to feel like you're untrustworthy. I can't tell you anything because you tell all my business. You're an untrustworthy child and you cannot be trusted. They tell these children that. And what does the child want to do? They want to appease the parent. They love the parent. You know, you can't help them from loving their parent. They don't know what their parent is. They don't know the parent is a monster. Okay, let's see. Let's look. So here are some, it says, if you are a victim of parental alienation syndrome, here are some suggestions for you to try to help turn things around. Be proactive. Do not believe this problem will go away on its own. It most likely will get worse. Realize that there is not much you can do about the alienating parent, the narcissistic parent. You can't do anything about them. You can only change yourself. Take a good look at your own behaviors and modify where necessary. Be a strong parent. Do not roll over easy, no matter how angry your children may be with you. You stick to your boundaries. You stick to your standards. They will do. You make sure that you implement the appropriate discipline tactics. You know, you will lose your privileges. It doesn't matter what they say. You know, some of you are so hurt by what has happened that you guilt parent. So you let these kids get away with anything. No, you stand your ground and you continue to parent regardless of what the narcissist says. You continue to parent. You continue to discipline appropriately, and you continue to make them accountable. You continue to hold them accountable. And you'll notice, you know, depending on how the visitations is, if it's once a year, you'll notice the child will change. You know, and then all of a sudden that parent comes back up and you'll notice the child's behavior starts to change because they get nervous the closer it gets to being around, getting closer to be around the other parent. Find a good therapist that understands parental alienation, that understands domestic violence. You know, don't worry about bringing up narcissistic parent or cluster B parents. You know, focus on domestic violence, parental alienation, manipulation. Those are the terms that you want to use looking for a therapist. Let's see. Find ways to attach with your children every day. Even if you don't want to, call them, text them, talk to them, touch them. Do whatever you can to protect your children. Spend time with them. Talk to them. You don't always have to buy them something. Go, just like my mentor says, go and look at trees together. Go walk. Just have a conversation whether they want to do it or not. Take them to get some ice cream. You know, walk around the mall. Crack jokes. Make it as normal as possible, even though on the inside you are tore up and you're breaking apart on the inside. Be as normal as you possibly can in front of those children. Be solid, be direct, be firm, be consistent, be stable. If you, even if you don't feel those things, act as if you do. On the inside, you're broken. On the outside, be a soldier. Don't show that to them, regardless of what this person says. Get in private and cry. Get in the shower and cry. But don't you let those kids see you. You stay and remain stable, because there's a matter of time. And many of you guys have come from homes that had narcissistic parents. Well, now you have the aha moment. Now you're like, oh my gosh, all this time, and my poor mother, my poor father, you know, now, so you remain stable. They will pick up on it. They will understand, okay? If you have adult children, invite them to these videos. If at all possible, find a good therapist who understands PAS to bring yourself and your children to see them, him or her. Use strategies akin to those used when people leave a cult. In essence, PAS is a form of brainwashing. Take very good care of yourself. Do things that are good for you and bring joy. Do not grovel, beg, or allow your children to see that you are threatened by their behavior. Stand strong. Don't be afraid of your kids. If the narcissist encourages your children to disobey you, hold your ground and make sure your children do what you request, starting with no disrespectful behavior in my home, period. And now, some of you ethnic women and men, you know nobody run your house but you. And to my Caucasian sisters, like my mama's Caucasian, you don't run nothing in here but your mouth. You see? So you stand your ground. You don't pay no bills in here. You're not paying rent. You don't tell me what to do. That's my house. And every place you go in my house, that's my house. Those clothes are my clothes. I bought those clothes for you. You know, you put your foot down. This is what's going to happen. You're a child. You know, you are not an equal partner in this. And so you stand your ground and find healthy ways to parent them that is not abusive and reminds them of the abuse that came from the narcissist. You know what the narcissist is doing. So you don't know everything in private. Eventually it'll come out, but you stand your ground, okay? Let's see. Develop some catchphrases to use with your children that you can say in moments when things are particularly difficult for you to handle. Okay, hold on. We all need to take a time out. Everybody go to their separate dwelling places in your room. Let's take a time out, and we're all going to calm down. We're going to think about this for a minute. We're going to come back and talk about this. Whenever you say we're going to talk about this later, make sure you have a specific time at 6 o'clock. We're going to meet up, and we're going to talk. Okay, be humorous. Be enjoyable to be around. I laugh and joke all the time with my children. And some of them think I'm stale. I'm funny. I am funny even with the kids. I'm funny with the kids where they just look at me and can't help but laugh. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're such an old lady. Be smarter than the narcissist. The narcissist is trying to outthink you. Remember, they're not as smart as you think they are. They're just manipulative. Very manipulative. Be determined and refuse to let the abuser destroy the relationship between you and your children. You fight for your kids. You fight to be with your kids. You fight to have a relationship with your kids. Join a support group so you can get help as deal with the battle for your children. Go on, educate yourself. Never stop reading and arming yourself with knowledge. In addition to this, educate your children. So if you go on Google, you can go to Psychology Today, and in the keywords, you can put down narcissist support groups. They do have therapists that do narcissist support groups. I went and looked it up, and they do have some in the Tacoma area, Washington area, and they have narcissist support groups. You look and see narcissist support groups for children, families, but you can look it up online. They even have online support groups, okay? And then look up how to educate my child on narcissistic behavior by the parent, or abusive behavior by the parent, or safeguarding my children from abuse. Look it up. Some of you are asking me the question. I have to look it up too. There's certain things I have to look up to provide that information to you. So hopefully this has helped you guys today. I know it's kind of a long video, but I know that this is something that's very, very detrimental, because I've read a lot of you guys having to go through court cases. A lot of the men are having to go through this, with these dramatic female narcissists, but a lot of you women, as well, where you have narcissists that have money, that can afford legal legal support. They can manipulate the legal court system, especially if they have a name and money. They can put a lawyer in their back pocket, but you fight. Don't you ever give up fighting. Don't you stop fighting. You get tired. I know you get tired, boss. I know you get tired. I get tired, boss, but I'm not going to stop fighting. You guys don't stop fighting. So we fight together, okay? You come on here, you get some support. There are a lot of people that are supporting you in this tribe, and I'm so grateful for you guys, because you guys are a very, very supportive group. So hopefully this has helped you guys today. Thank you guys, as always, for supporting me and my channel. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Some of you guys have sent me emails and have asked me, how can you donate for the cause and donate to give back from the videos, to give back. And I am so appreciative. Thank you so much for thinking of me. If you look at the bottom of the video, I'm going to put links down there. If you go to my community tab as well, I put links there to my Cash App. Some of you said you don't want it to go to my business, you want it to come to me. So I will put links to my Cash App and to my personal PayPal, and you are welcome to donate whatever you'd like to help me continue this education, to help me to bring awareness, to build programs so we can get this information out. And I am so appreciative, because it takes us as a community to do it. You have someone that's able to educate, and when you guys donate like that, it helps it makes it a little easier for me to continue doing what I'm doing, and to, because it's a slow process, but to get this information out of there. So those of you that have inquired, thank you so much. I'm going to put the links right up underneath the video. Just click that little arrow and it'll open up at the bottom, and I will have the links to my Cash App and my PayPal. You are more than welcome to donate, and I am so appreciative. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for being here. To all the new viewers, please, if you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Hit the bell so you know whenever I upload videos. I pre-record Tuesday through Friday. I come on live Sunday evenings between 8 and 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And if I get early, I get to come on early. So just look for the bell. Make sure you guys click the bell so you know whenever it'll chime. Because I think I was on live on Sunday, and I saw some people still responding to some videos, didn't realize that I was actually on live. Also, I have a Facebook page. It is Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. That's the new one that has my book on there. So if you have not, make sure you hit the like button. And I have my business one, Psychological Health Consultants and Services. But if you go to my Overcoming Narcissist Abuse, hit the thumbs up. I post videos on both of those, all three of them really. I post videos. And if you have not had the opportunity to order my book is Unmasking, the Illusion of Perfection. It is on sale on Amazon. You can get it in Kindle. You can go to Barnes & Noble. You can get an ebook. Thank you guys so much for purchasing the book. Let me know what you think about the book. Let me see, where did you find yourself in the book? The book is, we can talk about narcissist abuse all day long. I talk about, it is a Christian book, so I do give Christian encouragement. So those of you that are not believers, that are not Christian, it's okay. Take out the principles. You will find yourself in that book. I provide encouragement through biblical principles, and that's how I survived. And in there, it really gives you an opportunity to look and see what narcissist abuse looks like. We could talk about it, but what does it look like, play by play? What were some of these women? It just so happened these were women, different women from different walks of life, different socioeconomic statuses, different backgrounds, and what did they experience? What was said? What were the seeds that were planted? How were they groomed into being being handed over to a narcissist, and what did their children go through. And so please take the opportunity to order the book and tell me what you think about it. Some of you guys have read the book and said you're reading it again. You found yourself in there. You know, thank you guys so much for the support, and be prepared. I am writing a second book, and this second book will go in detail about, you know, narcissism. So thank you guys once again. Just look down at the bottom. I'm going to put the links for those of you that inquired about the Cash App and the PayPal. Thank you guys so much for inquiring, and thank you for donating to a great cause. And I will be working as hard as I possibly can. I'm working on podcasts. I'm working on radio, so that you guys can send me some questions or even call in. We can do some recordings, pre-recordings, call in, ask me questions so that I can go air it on the radio. So thank you guys so much. I'm working with my big brother on that. I'm working on podcasts. But you guys that are tech savvy, you guys need to email me. I got some questions to ask too. So, you know, I'm not a millennial, but all the millennials are the ones that are helping me. So you guys that are tech savvy, I need you guys to email me. I got some questions for y'all. So thank you guys once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the most awesomest tribe that I've ever had the opportunity to belong to be with. You guys just inspire me, and I'm so grateful that you guys trust me. And so many of you guys said that you are healing. Make sure you go to my mentor's YouTube channel. It is Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper. For those of you, she is the presiding prelate of Into His Chambers Global Ministry. She is my mentor, she is my life coach, and she is my pastor. And so please, you know, take the opportunity to subscribe to her YouTube channel as well. Let's get her numbers up. Let's get her out there and get her, you know, out there to people, because people need to hear what she has to say from a biblical and spiritual aspect. So some of you guys are asking questions. Some of you guys are talking about the demon that's within that narcissist. Go to her page and she's going to talk about it. She'll be free. I talk about from the clinical side of the house. She talks about it from the biblical side of the house. And that's how her and I team up together. So all those questions that you have about those demonic folks, she will answer those questions for you. And once again, thank you guys, and go be great.